Modern dating feels like a battlefield. Only most men don't even realize they're in the middle of a war until it's too late. You've probably heard of ghosting, right? That sudden silence when she disappears without a word. It stings. It bruises the ego. But in a strange way, ghosting gives you one thing: closure. She's gone, you know it, and as painful as it is, you can move on. But there's something far more dangerous, something quieter, slower, and far more draining. It's called Banksying. And if you've ever found yourself waiting for a woman's text, holding on to vague promises, or feeling stuck in a maybe that never turns into a yes, chances are you've already lived it. Here's how it works. She doesn't leave you, but she doesn't choose you either. She keeps you close enough to stay hopeful, but far enough that nothing real ever happens. A quick reply here, a playful emoji there, a promise of next weekend that somehow never arrives. And just like that, you're hooked. Not because of what you're getting, but because of what you're still waiting for. So let me ask you, how many times have you been in that exact spot, stuck in limbo, investing your time, your energy, your heart into someone who never truly intended to give anything back? That's not indecision, it's control. And once you see it for what it really is, you'll never let yourself be played again.
So why does Banksying even happen? Why would a woman keep you hanging instead of simply saying yes or no? The answer is uncomfortable, but it's simple. Because it benefits her, and because men allow it. From her side, Banksying gives her the best of both worlds. She gets your attention, your emotional support, your validation. She gets to feel wanted, admired, and secure, all without having to commit to you. Why cut you off when she can keep you in the background as an option, a safety net? From the man's side, the trap works because we let it. Too many men are afraid of setting boundaries. We reply instantly. We accept cancellations without question. We hold on to hope, thinking, if I'm patient enough, she'll eventually choose me. That patience feels noble, but really, it's weakness disguised as loyalty. Think about it. How many times have you told yourself, she's just busy, she just needs more time, while months slip by with no progress? How many times have you settled for a text or a like on social media, convincing yourself it meant more than it did? That's not romance, that's self-deception. The hard truth is this: women only Banksy the men who make it possible. A man with standards, who values his time, doesn't get treated this way. He sees the pattern, he steps back, and he refuses to settle for crumbs. But a man who clings to false hope, he makes himself an easy target.
Now, let's talk about the signs. Because the biggest danger of Banksying is that most men don't even realize it's happening until months or even years have already been wasted. But once you know the red flags, you'll never look at her behavior the same way again. The first sign is inconsistency. One day she's warm, playful, maybe even flirty. The next day she's distant, distracted, cold. That hot and cold routine isn't confusion, it's control. She knows exactly how much attention to give you, so you don't walk away, but never enough to move things forward. The second sign is what I call the phantom plan. She talks about meeting up, but it never happens. There's always an excuse, always a delay, always maybe next weekend. And you keep waiting for that weekend, but it never comes. If months go by without a single real date, that's not bad luck, it's Banksying. Take Mark, for example. He met a woman who seemed genuinely interested.
She laughed at his jokes, replied to his texts, even said she wanted to see him. But every time he tried to set a date, she was busy. Next weekend, something always came up. 6 months later, he realized he hadn't gone on a single date with her. Yet he'd spent half a year waiting, hoping, and investing in something that never existed. The third sign is effort imbalance. Ask yourself honestly, who's always initiating? Who's always reaching out, planning, following up? If it's always you, while she gives minimal effort in return, then she's not investing. Real interest isn't one-sided. Here's another subtle one. She treats you like an emotional boyfriend, but never a real partner. She vents to you when she's stressed. She calls when she's lonely. She seeks comfort when she's upset about another man. But when it comes to romance, intimacy, or commitment, you're suddenly invisible. And then there's the big illusion, crumbs of attention. A like on your photo, a late night, hey, a compliment tossed your way. Those little gestures feel like proof she cares, but they're not. They're breadcrumbs, just enough to keep you following the trail, never enough to satisfy your hunger. Here's the truth most men need to hear. Real interest doesn't leave you guessing. Women who truly like you make time. They respond with energy. They look forward to seeing you. Anything less isn't attraction, it's illusion.
The consequences. At its core, attraction is supposed to grow with clarity and momentum. You meet, you connect, you spend time together, and naturally things move forward. That's how interest deepens. But when you're being banked, all of that gets frozen. The process stalls, and slowly what started as excitement turns into doubt, frustration, and eventually disappointment. Here's the first consequence. Uncertainty kills attraction. When a woman keeps you in limbo, you don't get stronger as a couple, you get weaker as a man. Instead of building confidence, you start questioning yourself. That constant guessing eats away at your self-worth. Second, Banksying reverses the roles. In healthy dynamics, a man leads with clarity, and a woman responds with interest. But when you're banked, you give up that leadership. You're no longer choosing, you're waiting to be chosen. Or think about John. He became her go-to guy whenever she was bored, lonely, or upset about another man. She'd call late at night to vent, and he was always there to listen. He mistook her needing him for her wanting him. But the truth was, he was never her choice, just her safety net. Third, the longer you stay stuck, the more you teach her that it's okay to treat you as an option. Once she sees you'll tolerate crumbs, why would she ever give you the whole meal? Once a woman categorizes you as the guy who accepts maybe, it's almost impossible for her to see you as the man she respects. And let's not ignore the emotional toll. Banksying is like death by 1,000 cuts. Every delay, every broken plan, every mixed signal slices away at your confidence, little by little. You don't notice it at first, but months later, you realize you've lost not just time, but the very qualities that make you magnetic: decisiveness, energy, self-respect. The bottom line is this: Banksying doesn't just waste your time, it robs you of your edge. It turns you from leader to follower, from confident to uncertain. And unless you break free, it doesn't just take her away, it takes you away from yourself.
Part 4. The solution. So how do you break free? How do you stop being banked before it drains the very core of who you are? The first step is seeing it for what it really is. Mixed signals aren't confusion, they're strategy. A woman who wants you won't keep you in limbo. If she's interested, you'll know. If you're constantly second-guessing, that's your answer. The second step is about boundaries. Too many men reward half-hearted behavior with full commitment. She cancels last minute, you reschedule immediately. She leaves you hanging, you double text. Every time you do that, you teach her your time isn't valuable. And then comes the hardest but most powerful step, walking away. Not with anger, not with drama, just calm, decisive action. You stop chasing, you stop waiting, you remove yourself from the game. That silence, that absence says more than words ever could. It tells her, I value myself, I refuse to be a backup. Now here's what most men underestimate, the silent withdrawal. Sometimes the strongest move isn't another text, another explanation, or another plea. It's silence. When you pull back and stop feeding the illusion, one of two things will happen. If she truly cares, she'll step forward. If she doesn't, you'll finally have clarity. Either way, you win. And in that silence, something shifts inside you too. You feel your confidence returning. You focus on your goals, your growth, your peace of mind. You stop living on crumbs and start living as a man whose value isn't negotiable. Breaking free from Banksying isn't about losing her, it's about finding yourself again, reclaiming the respect, dignity, and strength that were always yours. So let me ask you, are you ready to stop waiting and start living?
Ghosting hurts, but at least it sets you free. Banksying, that's different. It's not rejection, it's control. It's the slow erosion of your time, your energy, and your self-respect. And the longer you stay in it, the more you lose the very qualities that make you a man worth respecting. But here's the truth you need to hold on to. Banksying only works if you allow it. A man with standards, with boundaries, with self-respect, he doesn't get banksed. He sees the pattern and he steps away, and he saves his energy for someone who actually chooses him. So I want you to ask yourself right now, are you being fed crumbs or are you truly being valued? Because the moment you stop confusing attention for affection, the moment you stop mistaking patience for progress, that's the moment you take your power back. And remember, walking away isn't losing. Walking away is choosing yourself. And once you do, you'll never again settle for being a backup. Now, I want to hear from you. Have you ever experienced Banksying? Did it see it early, or did it take months before you realized what was happening? Share your story in the comments. I read every one, and I know other men can learn from your experience too. And if this message hit home, make sure you subscribe and hit the notification bell, because in the next video, I'm going to reveal the subtle signs women give when they're secretly keeping another man as a backup option. You won't want to miss that.